Okay, in place of our live stream this week, I have this video set here. I borrowed the actual video from Ilford. They are a photo supply company. So in class, we've done this part already. We've switched film onto a tank, and it's going to run through the steps here for remote students and as a reminder or a review for students in class, because coming up within the next 2 weeks, you will be changing your own roll of film that you shoot. So here are some of the pieces of equipment that you're going to need to develop film and work with it. But while this is getting set up, I'm going to talk about signing cameras out. So those of you on A and B days, I'm going to actually sign cameras out. I'm going to try to with everybody on Thursday and Friday this week, which would be the 8th and 9th, I think, of October. So you'll have a 3-day weekend to shoot your photos, and we'll talk about that in class. Remote students, I'm going to make cameras available for pickup in this next week, not on Monday, but they would be available for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for pickup. And as part of this video, I'm going to show you how to work with that camera. The cameras that we're going to send home are not the 35mm SLR cameras. They're what we call point and shoot. So the camera is very simple. The only problem with the camera really is you can't control the light. So you're going to have to make sure that you have a really decent light source. So up above right now, they are just mixing the chemicals, and this is more of a photo 2 part. But you just need to know that the 3 chemicals we're going to work with are developer, it's also called D76, stop bath, and the fixer. Those are the 3 chemicals we've used this week to develop the film. All of the film has come out, which is awesome. Now, remote students, what I'm going to have you do is you're going to shoot the film, and then and I'll give you a list of what to shoot pictures of, and then you'll drop the camera back off, and we will develop the film here in school in the darkroom. Okay, so at least you have the negatives, and later in this very video it's going to go through the steps in the darkroom of how we make prints. On the screen currently are the steps to switching film off of a canister and onto a tank. So this whole process is done in complete darkness. Okay, so A/B students, you've had experience with this. We've practiced it, and one member of your group has actually completed this to get your film ready for developing. And they were all successful because we have successful results with the film. And I'll see if I can show that later in the video as well. So they went into the dark room for remote students. They went into, not in the dark room, excuse me, the film changing closet. The film changing closet is actually completely black, can't see anything. So that's why they've used this effect on the video here to show you this kind of grayscale that right now everything is in the dark. The students couldn't see any of this going on. We have to use scissors, which is really interesting. So the funnel goes on top. So they've cut the film off of the canister. They've used a bottle opener to open that canister. They've put the film on a reel, and they've got it all into the tank. So that took us one class period really to practice and complete processing your film. So some of these steps are exactly like what we do in class, and some of them are a little bit different. And they're laid out like this for the video. But basically the first chemical is called developer, or D76, and you measure out 6 ounces of water and 6 ounces of the D76 chemical. You combine those two to make 12 ounces total, and then you take its temperature. We have a chart in class that, based on the temperature, tells you how long the film needs to develop for. Okay, so the timing goes through, and most of our times this week have been around 10 to 10.5 minutes. The next step, after you've poured the developer and water mixture out, is the stop bath. Okay, and that's what they're on to right now. And the stop bath is only really in there for 30 seconds. And just like baking, if you put brownies in the oven for too long, they burn. If you don't put them in there long enough, they would be undone. So the same idea with film. The stop bath is basically where you're turning the oven off. The next step after you've poured the stop bath out is fixer. Okay, and we restart our timer, and here in class we use 10 minutes. Okay, and what they're doing is they're agitating the tank, meaning they're moving the chemicals around, and they lightly tap it on the table just to make any bubbles move to the surface. Okay, so those are the three chemical processes. There are some extra parts at the end here, but for the most part, this is where you can actually take the top off of the tank and look at the film. Right now what we would be doing is we'd use the sink and cold water to rinse the chemicals off. So that's what they're doing here with the pitchers of water. They're pouring out the old water, they're replacing it with new water, and we just use the sink running into the tanks to consistently rinse out the chemicals, rinse out the fixer and any other remaining chemicals on the film. All right, so we run this for about 2 minutes, the quick rinse, and I'm not sure they're going to go into a wetting agent. We call it photo flow, and basically what that does is it allows the chemical, the water, to run off of the film easier. So it's very similar to like wax on, or water on a wax car, where it will bead up and run off, and that's that process. Okay, so at this point they're taking the film off of the reel, and you can see through the negative right now that it is successful. The film isn't completely black, it's not completely clear, and we can actually see negatives. Okay, areas that are completely dark, areas that are clear, and it's kind of in between some values. So there's film, there's our negatives. So what they did is they squeegeed all the remaining chemicals off, and then they hung it in a dry, dust-free area. And at this point, the instructor is looking at the negatives. That's what we have coming up this week, where we're going to put them in protective sleeves. Okay, next part. So this is a darkroom. It's a virtual darkroom. I'm trying to get this software for students here at home, where you could go through the whole process in a virtual darkroom. But I am in communication with the company in Germany and trying to get a beta test for it, but I have not gotten a complete response yet. So these are the negatives that we just developed, and they're going to go into a negative tray. All right, so we are in the darkroom right now, and that is an enlarger that they're putting the negatives into. They're coming over here and they're flipping on what we call the safe lights. The safe lights are red traditionally, and then we're going to turn off the main lights. So the photo paper that we're going to work with in a moment is reactive to light. It's safe in the safe light. But anytime I turn the light on, right there, the enlarger light, it's like a big flashlight, that will expose the photo paper. All right, so they're doing a more advanced technique right now called dodging and burning. But I just wanted you to see that when the light goes through the negative, okay, it makes a positive. All right, and it's exposing the photo paper, and then when they go into the tray right here, okay, the developer, it will develop the photo. Suddenly you'll see it go from white to a complete photograph. Right. So those are the steps, and we'll get more into this as far as darkroom time, especially for remote students, to show exactly how this works. Okay, so I'm going to just run over the point and shoot camera that we're going to be sending home with students this weekend for the 3-day weekend, and remote students will have cameras to you available on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this coming week, and I will have the dates posted on the website as well. those cameras will be available for pickup in the lobby, and I'll actually have the camera with tape on it, and it will have your name on it for pickup. There should be approximately 15 photographs that you're going to be able to take, and I'll name off the, I'll probably put it on the site of which photos you should take as far as subjects. Okay, so point and shoot camera. All right, as opposed to or compared to our 35mm camera, where we have all of these settings that control the light, right? How much light for how long. The point and shoot camera is just that. You point it, you push the button, you advance the film, okay? Now, we can close up. There's really 3 settings down on the bottom, okay? Nope, I'm lying. 2 settings. Either the shutter is open, the lens is open or closed, okay? There is a flash on here. I've got to check the batteries on them, but right now, yep, the battery's not on for this one. The flash, it's okay. For the most part, folks, what I would say is just as much light as you can, and that's why I want to get these out this weekend, because the weather looks good, and the more sun, the better. I would not try to shoot night photos with this. They're just really not going to come out. If you need to shoot photos indoors, come up with an alternative light source, meaning like a flashlight, or take the lampshade off of a lamp and use that. Okay, so let me just run through the process here. And I'm just remembering this camera from, it's a little different than the old ones. Okay, so to open the camera door, there is a little notch here, but I'm just going to say, don't open the camera door. I'm going to show you loading the film. So here's the film, 35mm film. There's 12 exposures, so when I said 15, that was completely wrong. Okay, but I will post exactly what the assignment, what the subjects are. Okay, so we pull the film across there from the canister over here across, and there's a little take-up spool in there. And to make it move, right here, there's a film advance, and it's just dragging the film across. Okay, and we advance as much as it can, and then you have to push the shutter release. Okay, so. And there. Okay, so once that's set, I'm just going to close this door, all right, and it is ready to go. I'm going to give it another advance, so I'm going to push that shutter release. And so what that's doing is that film that was exposed to light, I'm moving that film across onto the film take-up spool. So this is all fresh film here. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a big hunk of tape right over the door, right over that switch, so you don't get in there. And I will put your name on it. Name, right? And for remote students, those will be available for pickup. And while I'm doing this really quick, I think I have the subjects written in my book right here, and if I don't have it right on hand, there they are. Okay, so let me just make sure this is right. All right, so there is a portrait, which is a picture of somebody, a picture of a shadow. Those are super important for developing later because it shows a very high contrast between like a light area and a dark area. So a portrait, a shadow, a still life. It's a group of objects. It would be best if it was a group of objects in some way about you. A landscape. So go outside, shoot a picture. Make sure there's lots of light. Think about those elements that we did at the beginning of the year. Lines, shapes, color. And now this is, it's black and white film. But lines, shapes, how the composition, what you're looking at looks like. Architectural detail. That's a building, okay, a corner, a doorway, a fence post, but something, we're looking for geometric kind of shapes in there. Plants, so let's see, what am I up to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plants, some kind of plant life, trees, bushes, flowers. Okay, so I've got 2, 4, 6 in there. Another one is a reflection, which is 7. Okay, and that's it. All right, so the reflection, and the last 5 are up to, no, yeah, the last 5 are up to you, which will be a total of 12 exposures. So portrait, shadow, still life, landscape, architectural detail, plants, and reflection. But I'll post the actual list. So this week, students went and developed their film, and these are their negatives here in class. So you can kind of see, yeah, you can see it, where there's clear areas. Now the clear areas are really the darkest area on them. So if they were wearing a black sweatshirt, it's clear on the negative. If they were wearing a white scarf, it's black on the negative. Okay, and eventually what we'll do is we'll switch those up in the darkroom, and we'll get to that. So that's how I'm going to run the live stream this week, because we don't have one scheduled. And if you have any questions, or you want like feedback, one-to-one feedback, let me know either by email, or if you need like one-to-one feedback, just contact me, and we'll set up a Google Meet. Okay, that's it, folks. Dun, 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 dun.